twofeatherplugs.com.
Hey guys, it's Jess with Two Feather Plugs, and Adner is back, and he's going to be answering more questions. Today is all about stretching and sizing up. So let's say if someone is new to stretching their ears, what is the best way to get started?
Usually I ask people prior to doing a piercing if they have any intentions of stretching, and based off of that, depending on their goal size, I'll let them know I can safely take you immediately to a certain size, or if it's a little beyond that range, I let them know it's going to be a little bit of a process, that they're going to want to come back, pretty frequently, say about anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, depending how the person feels. But they always, want to stretch with like single flared jewelry, or it could be double flare, as long as it's a threaded back to it to make it a single flare.
So I used to have problems with this ear. This ear would stretch just fine, but this one was my problem ear. Why is that?
Could be how you were pierced. Sometimes people start off with typical mall piercing with the gun or Walmart or Claire's, whatever, and they don't always make sure that they're even or centered properly. So maybe one of your ears are thin and just your ear doesn't want to stretch anymore, so you don't want to force it. Depending on the jewelry you're using as well, different shapes could alter how easily it might fit in. But if everything's, decent enough with like how much skin you have, just lube it up, with some oils, however you pronounce it, Jehovah or jojoba, I don't know.
Jojoba.
Yeah, jojoba, whatever. But yeah, just kind of massage your ear, with that stuff, and the jewelry a little bit, just work it over it a little bit. But just do it carefully if you're doing it at home. Otherwise, I always recommend going to a piercer to help you out, primarily. Using a taper, steel tapers, to just gently, sometimes you just need a little bit more effort to really get that to expand a bit. But I don't really recommend forcing it. So I'd say if that's the case, then you probably just want to stick to that size and just don't even worry about sizing up anymore. You might notice your ear kind of like blood flow restriction. If it's kind of like white, you might want to just not stretch anymore because it's probably too thin. So,
Like mine.
yeah, it all depends. It's stuff you got to see in person to kind of distinguish what's going on.
So what would you recommend is the best material to stretch with?
Stretching, you always want to use stainless steel or surgical. Definitely avoid silicone. That's not going to be good. Very porous material, so any bacteria that's trapped in the jewelry, and if you're not properly cleaning it, it's going to cause you a lot of problems. Other than that, try to keep the jewelry as lightweight as possible, unless you're trying to stretch with the weight. But, tunnels, titanium, steel.
So I have this thing where I accidentally fall asleep with my plugs all the time. Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
That's not terrible, but you're gonna wake up with a sore ear sometimes, if you directly sleep on it. Generally, I take mine out for sleeping, but I could understand if someone were just stretching and you don't want it to tighten up, so just try your best not to sleep on it. In the future, if that's something you want to continue doing, you might want to consider using something like silicone, not for stretching, but once the area is healed, you can use that as a way to alleviate any pressure from sleeping on the jewelry because, it's squishy, so it'll be okay. But once you can, it's good to just keep the jewelry out while you're sleeping. It also give you a good chance to clean the jewelry properly and the actual area. But yeah, try not to sleep directly on it. So just might have to adjust how you sleep if that's the case.
I have to work on that. So should you wear your plugs all the time, or should you take them out sometimes?
I would, if it's possible for you to do this, take them out. It'd be a good time for your ears to kind of chill out for a while. Keep them clean, keep the jewelry clean. But if you're trying to stretch, then you may want to just keep the heavier jewelry in to allow that stretch to occur. But if you're not, I would just maybe give it a couple of days if you like, but don't wait too long. Usually after about for me anyways, a good week or two, they tend to tighten up a bit. So it might be a little bit of a stretch when you put the jewelry back in. But also, it also depends on the type of jewelry you're using too. You know, if the shapes are being altered, so your lobe might have to like adjust, you know, accordingly, so that way you could get it back in without any problems.
So can you wear your plugs in the shower?
Yeah, you can. It's not a big deal. I would say just try to thoroughly clean it if there's any like soapy products build up around it. So like shampoos or conditioners, you don't want that stuff to get all that residue building up around it. It might irritate it a little bit.
So what can you put on the skin to keep it healthy and to avoid irritation?
Well, I just use vitamin E oil. So after I clean my lobes, I'll just get a little bit on my fingertip and just kind of massage the area with it, clean the jewelry, and then place it in. So I would say doing that would definitely avoid irritation. So if you're waking up and you're like, "Ah, gotta get to work, I'm late, you know, don't just like shove the jewelry through your ear. You want to, you know, give it some time to like lubricate a little bit before you put it in. Otherwise, that could potentially irritate it, doing it as a like just dry putting it in.
So basically, don't do what I do every day. So how should you clean your plugs?
When it comes to basic steel type jewelry, even silicone, just warm soapy water is fine. But with organic jewelry, you want to use like an oil, jojoba, vitamin E, just gently, you know, spread it around the surface of the jewelry and around the edges and just let it soak for a while.
That's good to know. I have a lot of wood plugs. So is there a size that you need to stop at to shrink them back again?
Usually with clients, 00 is the limit on that. If you are interested in just temporarily having your ear stretched, but then later down the road, maybe career path or something, you might want to just go back to a regular size earring or nothing at all. You have a better chance of it shrinking back down. Maybe not necessarily back to like ground zero, but enough to where it won't really be noticeable to employers. They'll be looking at you like, oh, what's in your ear kind of thing, you know? But generally, yeah, just don't go past the 00, 0, you know, so what's that, 8 millimeter and 10 millimeter. And after that, yeah, you can shrink it, it'll shrink, but it may have like a little bit of an opening to it.
So is there a recommended way to size down, or should you just stop wearing plugs?
Just stop wearing them. You could maybe wear something small if you want, but just if you're looking to close them, just keep them out. Maybe lubricate the area with some jojoba oil, you know, that'll make it fatten up a little bit. Not really, but you know, it'll help. But vitamin E oil, definitely, so that way that tissue can regenerate a little bit better for you. Generally, just keep it out. It won't take too long, probably like a solid month, really.
So do you have any other tips you would like to add?
Do a little research, you know, kind of prepare yourself to tell the piercer what size you're trying to achieve, and through like that collaboration, you could determine what's the best route, whether you want to go little by little, you want to skip a few sizes, what jewelry to use, what's the most cost-effective route if that's an issue for you as well. Because once you reach your goal size, all that jewelry before that, you're not going to use it. Well, maybe you will, I don't know, but typically you don't. So you don't want to spend so much money on stuff that you're not going to use anyways. So, but that's all stuff you want to talk to your piercer with and go from there. But yeah, definitely don't just like YOLO it and start getting kits off Amazon and all that stuff. You know, just because your friend might have had like a decent experience doing it that way, it's, you know, not usually universal kind of thing. So you might not have the best of luck. So
I did that.
yeah, so just you know, keep in touch with your local piercer, and the best way to go about it. Until you get comfortable, you know, with the routine of it all, you might want to just let somebody else help you out.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. And make sure you join our Facebook group if you have any more questions. Until next time.
See ya.